Latisha Richmond, we are going to be talking today about bridging the gap between brokers, general brokers, and on-site agents and the massive opportunity that is there.
Sure.
Let's spin and
Mhm.
let's get real quick background. You've been on site for how many years?
Yeah, so I was on site for almost 10 years. Almost 2 years, but basically my full real estate career, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So what is this big opportunity we're talking about?
What I have started was it's called the Real Estate Development Group. It's a coaching, consulting, and mentorship program, basically just geared towards, I mean, you said it, bridging the gap between general brokers as well as on-site agents, just allowing us to just build relationships and just kind of come together before we're actually in the model home. A lot of times when I was actually on site, part of our role, of course, was to build relationships with general brokers. But most of the time that really happened, the first time that happened was in the model home. I really believe that if we have those lasting relationships and know each other and connect and collaborate before we actually bring a client into the model home, it'll be a better transaction, a better experience for the client, and then more sales and more referrals for both the client as well as the on-site. Basically be a win-win for both parties.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the relationship first. Why does that matter?
So it matters because our main priority is our clients, right? We have a client and we're bringing them into a new home model space. It's important that it's a good experience. So I've found that in my experience of almost 10 years, when I have a relationship with the broker, or if I've even had a conversation or met them at another event or something, it usually starts off the conversation and the experience in a better way. With that, that will just transition for the entire build process, for the entire sales process to just be better for both the client, the realtor, and the on-site agent overall.
100% agree with you. One of the things that I find somewhat awkward, I have always been in my real estate career. I think I've sold one brand new construction. I was in a very dense old population of
Yeah.
inventory. One of the things that I've found and I'm finding out now is when you're working with new construction as a general broker, there has to be a great deal of trust with that agent on site and the team that they have behind them.
Exactly.
Because we lose we don't lose control. It's just we don't have control of it. We don't lose it. We never had it.
That's right.
There's
That's
so many things that go through the process is so much handled by the builder's team
Mhm.
that the role of the broker, general broker is it's not diminished, it's different. Can you explain like the best case scenario when we're in the middle of a transaction, you're under agreement, and it's time for you the pre-drywall inspection. Like
Sure.
where does that general brokers fit in with all this?
It's really on a case by case basis. I've had general brokers that are a part of the process from the very beginning, super, super hands on. And then I've had general brokers that I've hardly, had contact with. However, the ones that I feel like have the best is when, like I said, if we have some type of relationship beforehand. Now, granted, like you said, the on-site agent does have a lot of control. They're always kind of in tune and kind of running the process and everything. When that happens, if the general broker, if the on-site agent, if they're working together as a team, yes, we know there's two different sides of the table. We know that when I was an on-site, I worked for the seller and the general broker works for the buyer, works for the client. However, we still have one goal. So my model was really two different sides of the table, but one goal. We still want to have a happy homeowner. And at the end of the day, when that general broker hands that client off at the end and we give those keys, that client is in the community that I work in. So
That's
when,
right.
when I'm walking with clients, when I'm going from house to house, I see that client. So I typically see that client more as an on-site agent after more than the general broker usually, because when they're checking their mail, if they're walking their dog, they're out. It's really important that even though I'm saying I do, but even though I don't anymore, but even when I was as an on-site agent, it's important that we have a good relationship. So yes, I didn't represent you, but at the end of the day, I still want you to win. I was still cheering for you because you are now a builder client. I was going to be seeing you on a regular basis. And at the end of the day, I just want you to have a good experience because
Right.
because as while I did represent the seller, I wanted you to have a good experience with that seller so that you can bring referrals. Joe, a big part of our business is referrals. I want you to say, hey, Latisha was great as my on-site agent and bring me referrals and just have an overall good experience. Absolutely.
You referred to that you're not on site anymore, and that is a thing we're going to be talking about. So I
Right,
look
right.
forward to that part of the conversation. But let's stick to this just for a little bit longer. The relationship you
Yeah,
have, it goes both ways.
right.
So agents, buyer agents coming in, is there an opportunity for them when you have a client come through, they don't want your product, they don't want
Mhm.
what you have to sell? Is that the opportunity that you're talking about for referral?
No, what I was talking about for referral was if we have a good experience with this client, okay, as an on-site agent. For your when your friends and family come visit you for Thanksgiving and holidays and stuff like that, I want you to refer to me, your
I
on-site agent at the time. Hey, Latisha was great. So if you are looking for a home in this area, if you're trying to move from New York or if you're trying to move into the area, hey, make sure you reach out to Latisha. Because as on-site agents, some of which I did, you actually are able to help out in other communities as well with that represent from that builder.
that's good.
Even if I have, a client's friend that's interested, not really interested in the community that they're in, but say, for example, Joe, they fall in love with a particular floor plan. And it's like, hey, I really want to be on that side of the town, but I love this floor plan. As an on-site agent, if you've had a good experience and you can get a referral, you're like, hey, I can actually help you, even though it's on the other side of town, even though it's in a different community, because it's the same builder. We have the same floor plan. You like working with me. That home is moving ready. I can actually help you. And so that's what I mean by getting those referrals is you're able to help out sometimes not even in that same community, but with the same builder in a different community.
Gotcha. So that relationship's really important. That there's open
Absolutely.
communication. That's fantastic. You got to take care of everybody in that transaction all the way through, which is
All the
I
way
am
through.
positive on that. Yeah, not all builders are the same.
Correct.
I know how you work, and I've worked with other great on-site agents. If there's some nuances in the background that maybe
Mhm.
the agent doesn't see, or maybe they do. Can you dig into that just a little bit on how that might vary?
So a lot of builders are different. I worked for two particular builders and they were a lot different. There's so many different builders and the process is different. The sales process is different. The transaction process is different. But when an agent, and that's the benefit of building relationships with the on-site agents is because of how different they are. Some builders require you to come in hand with your realtor. First interaction, initiative, right hand in hand. Some you can lead on or send on to the community as long as you put their name down and they were the procuring cause and all that. And then some you can make a phone call. So there's different rules to the first part of that, and it's important that as general brokers you kind of find that out because you don't want to you sent the client, you was the procuring cause, but you didn't really do it the way that a certain builder wanted you to, then it's a possibility that you could possibly lose that. And so I think that's part of the thing that us as general brokers or general brokers should do as far as taking that initiative, seeing, okay, how do you do this? And because if you're going off of your experience from one builder and you're trying to blanket that and do the same thing with other builders, you're going to turn out to be disappointed sometime in that. And it's not going to be the on-site's fault. And so I think it's just important as general brokers, do your due diligence. See, okay, what's different about the processes? What's different about the initial part? Okay, sometimes you have to be there for the initial part. Sometimes you need to be there for the walkthrough. Sometimes there's certain checkpoints that you need to be there for. And once you know that up front, again, it's a better experience, better transaction, and then a happier homeowner, which is really what our goal is, even though we're on both sides of the table, as I said.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah,
All right, so let's get into the now. You alluded to a couple times that you are no longer an on-site agent. What the
correct.
heck is happening?
I know, right? I just after thinking and praying and just doing a lot, I really feel like, this is kind of how I transition. And it's like, I feel like I did it for almost 10 years. I won't say I mastered it, but I really feel like I enjoyed what I did. I loved what I did. I loved working for the builders. I loved being on that side of the table and being able to form the relationships with the clients, being able to form the relationship with the brokers, merging those two together. It really came down to just a faith and a family decision, to be honest. It was, I was commuting a bit, I was taking a little bit more time away from my family. That was a big part of it. And then I really, really believe in the business and the mentorship and the coaching program that I'm starting. And so those two things combined really just allowed me to just step out on faith and just jump. And Joe, I believe sometimes you got to bet on yourself. Sometimes you have to step out, do something different. I really believe that it will be successful. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, I know that I did it and I tried my best. And so I'm
There's
just I'm
but there's
I'm
none of
so
that. There's none of that, is there?
Yeah, it's well, I mean, I'll be lying if I said it wasn't any doubt. You know, I gotta be honest in that. But what I will say is that I have a peace about it. And so I think that's really, really important when making decisions and making changes. Joe, we only get one life. We only get one life. I'm confident in my decision. I have a peace about it. I have my family's backing me and supporting me. And like I said, I'd be lying if I said I didn't, waver and stuff. That's just life. But at the end of the day, I am confident. I'm excited and I have a peace about it. And with those three things, and with God on my side, I'm good. I'm good.
And you said, betting on yourself
Betting on yourself. Yep.
is pretty incredible. And how alive do you feel right now with all this
I
going
feel
on?
so alive. Like, Joe, it's like I feel like there's no ceiling. I feel like there's endless possibility. I feel like the possibilities are limitless, to be honest. I haven't felt like this in a while. It's like I feel like I've been stretched already, and I just feel like there's so much more to go. There's so much more that I really want to accomplish and I want to do for my boys and for my family. And so I just feel free, and I'm like, let's go. Like,
Right.
let's do
All
it.
right. So let's talk about your mission. What is
Yeah.
the mission with the new vision?
So my mission is to really bridge the gap between general brokers and on-sites. I want to form networking and create spaces where agents and on-site for general brokers and on-site agents can come together, have real conversations, make real connections, have real talk before getting to the model home. I truly believe that if you're able to form relationships and build those connections beforehand, that again, it's going to transfer over into that. It doesn't have to be the first time we meet. It doesn't have to be in the model home. It doesn't have to be a lunch and learn. It doesn't have to be me just kind of telling you about my community. No, okay, let me just talk to you. How's your family? Like, let me build a relationship. One of the things that I learned and that I took away from being an on-site agent, Joe, is that everybody has a story. When I was an on-site agent, I loved finding out people's stories. Everybody has a story. And so in this networking experience, I want to find out people's story. And so I want other people to find out about your story before getting to the model home. This, I believe, is just going to create those spaces for us to, y'all, let's just have fun. Let's laugh. Let's look at what's going on before we get to the lunch and learn, before we get to the model home. So then that way, hey, if I'm coming to bring a client to your community, hey, we already have this connection. It's going to be a better initial experience. That buyer is going to be more comfortable. That client is going to be more comfortable. I'm going to be able to explain the story that I've already learned from my client to the on-site agent, and we're just going to be able to connect better. I truly believe in that. This allows realtors and general brokers to find out their stories and not just the client finding out what the story is from the general broker or vice versa.
Yeah, I was listening to, I don't know if it was Dave Ramsey, I think it might have been, or some podcasts earlier. Those who are passionate about what they're doing and those who are delivering a service to people are probably the most fulfilled. And that's looking at you and hearing what you're saying. You have that. You are all in this for the service of others and making others grow. Fortunately, you've got a business model around that, which is great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your panels that you have planned up.
Yes. So my goal, Joe, is to do an event probably once a quarter would be ideally my goal. And my first one is coming up June the 5th. Have an awesome panel. You are going to be on the panel. Just an awesome panel full of general brokers and full of on-site agents. I also have a guest speaker who she flips properties. So she's going to be coming in talking about investing and investment properties. So it's really just a time where general brokers and on-site agents that are in the audience that come will be able to ask those transparent, real questions to both parties to be able to get vulnerable and transparent conversation. That's really what it's about. So we're going to have some networking time. We're going to have some panel time where we're asking the questions. We're going to have more networking time. Then we're going to have some prize giveaways. I'm also going to have some vendors there that's going to be giving awesome information as well. So it's going to be a good time. I think it's going to be a jam-packed 2 hours. And I'm really, really excited for general brokers and on-site agents to just come together and just have some real talk.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's so much value in agents getting together. And you're taking this a step further with the book that you wrote and some of the coaching and training that you're doing. Let's jump into that.
Yeah. So the ebook that I wrote, it's actually helping like career switchers figure out if they're trying to get into real estate, figure out which one they want to get into. A lot of times when you're getting into real estate, you don't really know, okay, do I want to do general brokers or do I want to do on-site? Or I'll take it a step further. when I actually was in real estate school, I really didn't even know about new construction. I didn't find out about new construction and on-site sales until after I got my license. And so in that, I seen that and seen how on-site really transformed my life and transformed my career. And so I'm like, no, instead of finding out about that after, let's put that to the forefront. Let's find out, okay, what are the pros? What are the cons of both? Because there's trade-offs to everything. All of our decisions, there's trade-offs. So what are the trade-offs with this? And so that ebook is actually highlighting that. And then my coaching and consulting program takes it a step even further, helps you decide on that. So after you read the ebook, help you, decide, which one of these do you want to go into? Okay. And then after that, let's take it a step further. Which builder is for you? Not all builders, like we talked about, Joe, not all builders are the same. So based on what's important to you, your family, your career, and your goals, finding out, which builder is good for you. Then if you want to go on the general side, of course, not all firms are the same, of course. So, which firm is best for you? And so I just want to kind of serve as a mentor in that, because I truly believe, I know I didn't have that kind of guidance. I did have someone that helped me get into new construction. But if it wasn't for her, like I said, I wouldn't have known about it. But I think knowing that kind of a little bit earlier would have helped my process. And so I just kind of want to do that for other people.
Yeah. And, and the same thing I'm doing on the other side is helping agents go from one firm to another and making sure it's going to be the right fit. I think I've sent at least one person over to you that I know
Yeah,
made the call. And it was great for her to figure out, was that an opportunity or not?
absolutely.
And there's so many ways to make money in real estate. To have somebody like you to help guide them, expose them to the opportunities is fantastic. So what is your process when somebody reads the book? What
Mhm.
happens after that? You mentioned coaching or consulting. How does that work?
So the first step is we'll do just a free consultation call where we'll talk, we'll chat, and I'll just kind of find out a little bit more about them, their background. It's only usually about 15 to 20 minutes. And then I do the same. I share a little bit about myself, my background, and then what the real estate development group mission is. We'll just kind of see if we're aligned. And then we go from there. I have a few different packages that they would choose from, whether they're, like I said, a professional like career switcher. Are you switching careers? Are you already in general trying to go into new construction? Or are you in new construction and just want, a little bit more mentorship, a little bit more strategies to actually be even better in new construction? But all three of those, Joe, will feed into the networking group that I'm creating. And so all of them will be a part of the networking group that allows us to just build relationships with both parties.
Agents get involved. How do they find you?
Yes. So the website, so you can actually, of course, find me on Facebook and Instagram, but my website is called joinredgroup.com. So RED stands for Real Estate Development Group. And so it's just called joinredgroup.com. And so at the top of it, you'll see information about my event coming up. And then after that, you'll see some information about the actual mentorship, coaching, and consulting program. But yeah, the first step is just to schedule a free consultation. And then we're taking from there. So if you're looking for the new construction side, you can come see me. If you're trying to decide on which firm to go to, you can come see Joe. We got you. Either way you want to go.
Right.
Either way you want to go.
Right. So let's talk about, you mentioned into the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the general broker sides, we have often that an agent will get licensed business to try to do it at night, weekends. Sometimes they have flexibility during the day and they're really making it work. Very difficult. When someone's switching from a professional, I shouldn't say from a professional, from a full-time job to going on site, is there a transition or does that have to be a break?
I mean, I think it depends. I will say this. I believe that the transition is smoother going to new construction from a full-time job versus going from a full-time job to general. And I say that because, again, it does depend on the builder, but some builders, when you come on and you coming from a full-time job, Joe, sometimes you'll have what's called a draw, or you'll have what's called training pay. So during your training process, you're already coming in as you're learning the business, you're making money. That's not something we get on the
No,
general side. You don't
you
get
have,
while you're training. And so that's part of something that a lot of general brokers don't know, or even professionals don't know. They're like, hold up, wait. So I can go to a builder while I'm learning, while you're figuring out the community, while you're figuring out the business, you're actually learning and you're getting a trainer's pay. Okay. And granted, it's not substantial, but it's better than nothing, while you're training. And so when you're transitioning, you can get that trainer. And then sometimes some builders will allow you to continue that on. So it just depends. So based
Yeah.
on, the consultation that I'll have, we'll look at some different, I guess, rules or regulations that some, and like I said, just a disclaimer, this could change, but based on my experience, I'll be able to kind of show what I've seen in the field on the building side. And then, but from my experience, it is, like I said, you get at least a little bit versus you just kind of jumping in and you got to fend for yourself. So
Yeah, either that or you're working a ton of hours trying to do 2 full-time jobs at once, going from an employment situation to general brokerage, or you're
exactly.
just taking that leap and you got money in the bank to cover you.
Exactly.
Alright, so this is so cool. So you've had a good career, good run. You've
Yep.
told us about you wish you had known about on-site work agent, being an on-site agent earlier. So you're
Yeah.
taking care of that. We're working on that together.
Yeah.
Now, 10 years into this business, let's talk about the feeling. You're studying something completely new.
Yeah.
Well, it's not completely new. It's an extension of what you've been doing. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I'd love to hear a little bit more detail of the process of when you got the idea and how it started to come to fruition and your challenges with all that.
Yeah, I really got the idea because while I was an on-site agent, I really honestly, Joe, I just had a lot of people reaching out to me for guidance. I had some full-timers reaching out like, "Hey, okay," and these are just friends and family at first. "Okay, so how did you do this? Okay, so how are you doing this?" Because, we're Facebook. So, I'm putting my sales out, I'm putting this out, I'm putting this. So they're asking questions. So, Letitia, how are you doing this? And then it kind of transitioned to I had some general brokers because some things were happening or they were trying to do both and weren't able to do full-time and general. So they're like, okay, well, so how are you doing this as an on-site agent? And so from there, it really came that I had a decent amount of people reaching out, Facebook messages, calling me. I began to think, okay, I'm giving out a lot of information for free, Joe, to be honest. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm helping. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, could I monetize on this? And so it really came to a point where I actually had one agent who kept people were reaching out to her about on-site and she was just sending them to me. She was like, "Hey, they have questions about being on-site. They just have questions about being on-site." And so she was sending them to me. And so shout out to Renisha Battle. At one point I thought about it. I'm like, okay, this might be a thing that I can really monetize on it. But before that, Joe, I was really excited to help them because I loved what I did. And I still loved the on-site world. But because I had a passion for it and I loved it, it's like, okay, well, let me tell the people about it. I got this good news. I got this good thing. Okay, if you're asking me about it, all right, yes, this is how you do it. And so I think it stemmed from my love and my passion for helping people and wanting to share the news of on-site. 'Cause it was almost like it felt gatekeeping. Like it almost felt, okay, why you all don't know about this? When people started coming to me, I'm like, yeah, let me just share. Let me just share. And then it kind of got word out like, yeah, she's sharing. So then other people started reaching out. And then I just thought to myself, ding, ding, what about, let me see if I can monetize on this. I have a passion for it. I'm loving helping people. I'm solving problems. I actually helped one particular person who was actually like my first student who literally I helped them go from they left one profession, moved states, came here under my tutelage or under my help and guidance. I helped them pick their real estate school, got into the real estate school. I helped them, okay, do your real estate, you pass your real estate test. I knew some people, of course, in the industry. So I was able to get, it was like a VIP interview. It did that or like an on-site, interview type thing. Did that, got hired, and she's killing it. She's killing it. And so after that, like literally seeing that, and we're in this whole process of her, she was right around 6 months in this whole process of her killing it and I'm talking about killing it with sales. We were doing coaching calls every week. So every week okay, so tell me about this experience. Okay, what happened? Okay, I had this. And so in this, I was literally developing an even more passion for it as I'm helping her and watching her succeed. I don't know if you play basketball. I see your Duke cup. I'm not going to talk junk because I went to NC State, Joe. But when you play basketball, it's like when you play, you get to a point where you're like, all right, Joe, I want to coach. Let's go. I'm excited. I want to see you. No, put your elbow here. Okay, no. Okay. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, it's like you get so excited and passionate about seeing them succeed. And it doesn't take away from you anymore. It's like, no, I want to see you win. That's really what I want to do. It's like, I'm just transitioning from being a basketball player to a coach. That's it. Yep.
It's a
Yep.
beautiful thing. And you
Yeah.
have that fight, that spirit. It shines right through. it's obvious that you have passion and you're doing what you love. So this is awesome
Thanks,
for a
Joe.
lot of people.
Thank
Latisha, I thank you so much for coming on the show. And I look forward to the panel and our continued relationship. It's been great getting to know you as you're one of the few that's been on the show for a second time, and I appreciate that.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome. Thank you, Joe.
so your contact information will be below, and if you watch the show, please subscribe, stay tuned, comment, ask questions. We'll make sure we answer them or get in touch with us however you like. Do your best. Have fun.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joe.